that's the album that I'm dying to listen to. Like, I just cannot wait to see what these guys are gonna do with Will Ramos on vocals now on a full-length album. Welcome to another episode from Takedowns to Breakdowns with A&P. Today we're here to take a quick look at 2022 and talk about 5 albums that I'm really excited about, and I want to hear his take and see how excited he is about these records.
Yeah, because some of these I may not be too excited for, and then some of these I may be way more excited than you.
So let's start off with Fit for an Autopsy. They have a new record coming out early on in January. How excited are you about that release?
For this one, I'm definitely more excited than you.
Wow, how come?
I'm
pretty hyped.
I think we both have a love for Fit for an Autopsy, but I think mine is,
Yours surpasses mine?
Mine surpasses yours, just by a little though. It's not like by a whole lot.
So based on the singles, what do you think this album is going to be like?
Just by the singles alone, I already know that this album will be a fucking banger. An absolute banger. The last album...
Have they released an album that wasn't a banger before?
No, but I think their sound now...
is evolving.
Their sound is evolving. I think their older songs I'm a fan of, but I'm not the biggest fan as much as the newer stuff. I think I'm enjoying the newer Fit for an Autopsy more than their older stuff. But even like songs like, Black Mammoth and stuff still have, even though they're older songs, they have the formation of that DNA that the newer stuff is. Mm-hmm. And I'm really excited for this new album because the last album was godly, and these singles are shaping up this album to be really good.
Speaking of the singles, I think what you can take away from it is that this record is perhaps a little bit darker, a little bit more raw, and because of that, it feels heavier, just based on the singles.
But the lyrics, the lyrical context of this album and last album
is very similar.
Very, very similar.
This album is perhaps a little bit more introspective, and I think that's where a little bit of the darkness comes from. And like I said, the heaviness comes from that introspective approach that they have to the lyrics and to the way the vocals come across. I felt that the previous record, the Sea of Tragic Beasts, had perhaps a little bit more atmosphere, was a little bit smoother to digest. And based on these singles, this album is going to be a little bit harder from that perspective. It's going to be heavy-hitting album. It's going to be a little bit rougher around the edges. But I like the fact that this is a band that never stays still as far as their sound approach, vocal approach. They're always moving, they're always growing, they're always learning something from the previous albums, taking it to the newer record, and redefining the path that they're taking as they move forward. That's a very important element. It's not like if you listen to the last record and you listen to the first record, they sound exactly the same. They don't.
They've been evolving,
so they've definitely been evolving. Another band releasing an album early on in the year that I'm really looking forward to is Amorphous. Are you excited about the new Amorphous?
We're both on this one, yeah. But the first single,
I was just gonna say that the first single kind of
we talked,
shook me a little bit.
We talked about this, where comparing the first single of this one to how the first single of the Bee came out. We were kind of hoping for the same intensity to start off.
And even heaviness. The Bee was pretty heavy.
Yeah, but we were hoping that the single would kind of jolt us for the starting of this album, for the journey to the album's release.
I just felt that the first single for this record feels more like a second, third single, not necessarily a first single. But if this is a microcosms of what the whole record is going to be all about, this album definitely is going to have a little bit more of a prog side, and it's not going to be as heavy. And I'm not saying Queen of Time was a brutal album, because it wasn't.
But it was heavy.
But it had some heavy moments.
Yeah.
It had some heavy moments. So I'm excited nevertheless, because I feel like Amorphous is one of those bands that can do no wrong.
And even if the whole album, I enjoyed the song. It's just that I was disappointed in the fact that it was the first single.
Me too. But it's not a bad song.
Because I agree with you. It is a perfect third single type song.
Yeah, it's still a great song. It's just, to me, not first single material. That's all. Another band that I'm looking forward to, a new record, is Ghost. Now, we're both huge fans of Ghost.
But just like Amorphous.
But I don't know if the song they released is going to be a single on the album. It could have been just a song on its own.
Oh, on its own? Okay.
So I don't want to judge what the record is going to be like based on a song or a couple of songs that they've released so far, because I honestly think that those songs are not going to be included on the record. So I think we have to go into this album. There's a new Papa in town. So I think we have to go into this album with a complete blank slate. Having said that, what are your expectations and how excited are you?
I'm always excited for Ghost.
Me too.
And that means they're just going to come back to town, and I can add to my list how many times
you're hoping.
Well,
I think they beat the record.
All you can do is hope.
I think you beat the record. Both of us beat the record as far as how many times we've seen a band in 1 year. We saw Ghost live 3 times in the same year.
And they were both in like different places too. Like
all 3 times was 3 different cities. Actually, we saw them in Hamilton, we saw them in Toronto, and we saw them in Montreal. But they were all for the same album cycle, so we pretty much saw the same set list, roughly the same set list every. Not that I care.
I'm talking about honestly, also the performance. Seeing them in Toronto, I think that was one of my favorite ones because it was in La Hall. So it felt...
the Sony Center of Performance Arts is a beautiful place to see Ghost, I must say.
Absolutely beautiful. Seeing them in Montreal...
It felt like a cathedral, like we're inside a cathedral.
Seeing them in Montreal was a completely different experience.
You're talking about a festival, outdoors festival.
And I think even outdoor festival, bigger crowd...
Yeah, they were the headliner of the night.
I think I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that one a lot.
Yeah, me too.
And
the third, last but not least, was the one in Hamilton.
And I also enjoyed that. I mean,
that one was a little bit different because it was inside a hockey arena, so it has a different vibe. But the stage show was still phenomenal.
But I think that's why you're getting the 3 different things. You're getting more of a cathedral feeling from the Sony.
More classical vibe.
Yeah. Then you get the live setting, and then I feel like
a little bit in the middle.
That one is a little bit in the middle, but it is the arena one that a lot of bands want to sell out arenas and stuff like this. So that was the arena
tour
performance. Yeah.
I think all 3 have positives. All 3 technically could have negatives. But Ghost is a band I'll go see them as many times as possible, as often as possible.
Hate on them and say they're not real metal and all that stuff.
Whatever.
I enjoy their music.
I love their music. I'm always going to go watch. And if there's a new album in the horizon, I'm definitely looking forward to it. You can argue the quality of the records. This one is better, that one is better, whatever. But they haven't released a really bad album to date. So I expect the next album to be as good or better than their previous album, and that's a great thing. Next on the list, I have Megadeth. Now, I'm excited and I'm not about this album. I was perhaps more excited before, and then the whole David Ellefson thing happened. So now they're removing his bass lines. They're having somebody else come in and play the bass and recording the bass. Not that the bass plays a huge difference. We're not talking about a guitar player and the solos.
Yeah, but they don't want to pay him for it, so that's why they're redoing it.
Yeah, they don't want him to be involved in the band and earn any royalties from it.
Because they don't have to put his name on it, too.
Yeah, and royalties as well, right? So anyways, he's been kicked out of the band. Everybody knows the story.
But this is one you're more excited for. I don't really care.
I'm excited just to see what Megadeth is going to do. I mean, Megadeth has always been one of my favorite bands. I'm not a huge fan of the shenanigans surrounding the band, either this or Dave Mustaine's antics or whatever. I'm not a huge fan, but I separate the individuals from the music, and I'm still a Megadeth fan as far as the music goes. I'm excited about, as I would be excited about an Exodus album, as I would be excited about a Slayer album, as I would be excited about an Anthrax album. It's a childhood band.
And I think that's why, for me, it's, I like Megadeth. It's just that...
Yeah, you're kind of like, eh.
I like Megadeth, but there's also like a shit ton of bands in front of Megadeth that I like.
You would like to see an album coming out before.
Exactly.
All right, fair enough. I'm excited from that perspective. The whole David Ellefson thing doesn't change much for me because, like I said, it's bass. I mean, not to downplay the bass, but if it was the guitar player getting kicked out and having to have the melodies, the leads, the solos re-recorded, that would have me intrigued because it's like, oh, wait a minute. I mean, this is a huge shift here. What the hell is going to happen here?
We're also not talking about like a technical death metal band where if you kick out one of the members, you're like, fuck, now I have to like...
Yeah, like how's the dynamic going to be like?
Like Beyond Creation, if they kick out that's a bass player that if you kick out, you really want to see what the next stuff is going to be.
Also, the fact that the album was already recorded, I mean, it's not like the guy that's coming in is going to have a lot of room to wiggle. He's just going to have to play those lines.
Exactly.
That's it. So
it shouldn't take much time.
Yeah, so my excitement is limited, but yet I'm excited about it. I think perhaps more so because it's like a band that I grew up listening to. It was one of the gateway bands that got me into heavier stuff, and because of that, I definitely want to check out the album. I don't have high expectations. I don't think it's going to be like this like Grammy-nominated record. They've won one. So, I mean, I don't think it's going to be that way, but I'm kind of like, yeah, I want to check it out. And then last but not least, I think this is the album that I'm actually looking forward the most, and that is Lorna Shore.
Yeah.
New album announced that's coming out in 2022. It's already recorded because I've been following Mr. Will Ramos on the socials, and he's like, vocals done, guitars done, this done, whatever, that done. So I think the album is probably going to hit, I would say, I don't know yet, but I would say probably summer, fall, if everything is recorded now, you know what I mean? That's probably the timeline everybody's looking at.
I feel like out of these 5, like 2 are going to make your top 5 list for the end of 2022.
For albums of the year? I think 3 will be there. Fit for an Autopsy, Amorphous, and Lorna Shore.
Definitely.
Those
Well,
three
it matters how the Amorphous one fully comes, because if the Amorphous one...
Amorphous would have to be really bad to not even make my
No,
list.
no, it's not make your... Because you have top 20.
Yeah.
So I'm saying top 5.
Oh, 5. Oh, 5.
That's what I'm saying. I know, obviously Lorna Shore is going to make a top 5.
Probably.
And Fit for an Autopsy...
It won't be 5, but it'll be in the conversation. It'll be in the conversation.
To be at least 5.
It'll be in the conversation.
It matters also what comes out later in the year.
I mean, it matters what's coming out throughout the whole year.
But I feel like if Amorphous, the album is just like more like that single, I feel like it's gonna make the list definitely top 10 because Amorphous
top 20
is good.
For sure.
But I don't think it'll make top 5 if it continues.
If I have to be honest here, out of the 5 that I mentioned, the one that I'm the most excited about is Lorna Shore.
Definitely.
Because the EP this year left me salivating. I mean,
it made me wanting more.
If that EP is a snapshot of what a full-length record is going to be like, take my money. Like, I'm all in. I'm all in. I want this. I cannot wait for it.
That's funny though. The two out of these, the two of my the bands I really want to see, like listen to the albums, are 2 deathcore bands. It's not even one of my favorite genres.
I know. If we had this conversation 2 years ago,
we'd be kicking our own asses.
There would be no deathcore being mentioned on this on any video whatsoever. And if you look at all the singles and everything that's been released, once again, Lorna Shore, that EP was phenomenal. So you'll have to kind of give them the head start here. And that's the album that I'm dying to listen to. Like, I just cannot wait to see what these guys are going to do with Will Ramos on vocals now on a full-length album, having the room to breathe, the room to move, being creative, creating something that's going to be robust from start to finish. I'm super excited. Yeah. That to me is, out of the 5 that I'm looking forward to, the one that I'm looking forward to the most. You too?
Yeah, definitely. That one and Fit for an Autopsy are my 2 ones. I think Ghost actually comes after that.
All right. And then Amorphous.
And then
you're kind of mad about...
I don't mind Mega. Like, if it's good, it's...
I don't mind. If it's on, I don't turn it off, but it's not like I wake up in the morning and I say, today I feel like some Symphony of Destruction.
Oh, no. Symphony of Destruction, I can... sometimes,
you can get into it.
Yeah, I can wake up and listen, but it's the thing is, like, if I'm choosing out of these 5... That's like the weakest one to me. Because
all right,
I didn't grow up listening to Megadeth, so...
For me, it's more of an emotional attachment.
Yeah, for you, it's more of a throwback.
Yeah, it's an emotional attachment to it. All right, guys, these are the 5 albums that we're looking forward, or at least we're excited about, come 2022. Which 5 are you the most excited about? That you cannot wait, that you're dying for that pre-order link to become active so you can pick it up in 2022. Let us know in the comment section below, and we'll see you guys at the next video.
See ya.